Good morning, folks. It is May 7th, and some of you may be wondering, where have you been? Your 47's passing by pretty quick, and you are October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. It's 8 months in. It's been 4 months since there's been an update. Well, the short of it is that I lost my job. I was laid off, and I needed to find another one. And that literally took all of my time. And I wanted to share one or two things that I learned in this time period that I think is super important. And frankly, it's the reason why I'm writing. I am recording this video. The last 4 months have been really challenging from a mental and a just job search perspective. So I just wanted to kind of get this out there and get folks in the mindset of like what it's like for somebody to look for a job, especially when they've lost a job. Yes, I am your stereotypical Asian American engineer. I have been in that industry for about 25 years, and I wanted to share this as a means of getting folks to see kind of what it's like from that end of the lens. So, number one, the job market sucks. It's really, really hard. No lie, it is trying to find a needle in a haystack. And I can, maybe in a later video, I'll share some of those findings, but some of it was a bit of luck. And the places that I looked for jobs didn't turn out the way I hoped for. It's probably pretty competitive, but frankly, there's a bit of like, let's see who can find you and see effectively if you can kind of best the system with not just with your ability to interview well, but a lot of luck. And I do feel in this regard very lucky. The market's tough out there. My best advice out there for those of you who are even thinking that you might want to make a switch, whether it's because you hate your job, whether it's because you think that you might get laid off, you've kind of seen the signs. You should totally get your resume in order, and you should totally practice. Don't be like me and wait and just hope. Don't do that, because it literally might have shaved off a month or two or maybe more of my job search, and doing it from a place where I felt safer than if I were to have just what I did, and that's basically search when I got laid off, because that's a really bad place to work from. You don't want to search for a job from a place where you are not operating from a place of strength, from a place of power, because leverage here in the job market is everything. Because when you have a job, they're trying to pull you away from it. When you don't, psychologically, for both sides, they know that you are looking for work, regardless of how even well you present yourself, as well as for yourself, you will be tempted to take things that are not particularly good for you. So that's one. Look for work even while you are at your job. Don't take chances, because at a certain point, you will have to look eventually. And I'll add this note too. When you are interviewing, you by definition are forced to reflect on your progress at work. A lot of my challenge here was to just remember what did I do? What did I accomplish in these past few years? And that recollection, you want to do that as much as possible away from the interview session, because some of that will be just hard, cold splashes of water in the face when you realize, oh, I don't remember the details about this. I don't remember exactly the metrics that I got passed for this. I cannot remember how I dealt with conflict in this particular time. You want to make sure that you interview, if only for the purposes of, number one, remembering the stuff that you do well, and two, just practicing articulating your history and your accomplishments. So there's just no way to get around that. You just have to do it. So number one, even if you're not looking for work, but especially if you are looking for work, interview and practice. because at a certain point, you want to be in a place where you get to that place of strength, where you don't have to worry about looking for a job because it'll already be part of you. So that's for me, my biggest thing. I'm going to always be looking around for work just because I think that's what we all should do. You all have the ability to be a free agent. And to the degree that that doing that should be a part of who you are means that you understand your value and that you're not getting like I was gonna curse, but don't let the corporate world like toss you around and use you as leverage. Leverage yourself. Leverage yourself in a way that allows you to be, as I heard somebody else say, be the CEO of your own career. That's one. Number two, I realize that a lot of us, because we're beholden to the corporate world, and it's the exact reason I'm doing this video, is again, I'm reminded of the fragility of having a single income. In this economy, it is so easy for us now with AI kind of being that sort of industry and frankly global transformation wave that is affecting the way we think about how work is done. And because of that, there is an absolute necessity for us to think broadly more about what does it mean to earn an income. And there's a whole lot that can be said about this, but when it comes down to it, a dollar is a dollar. And the degree to which you and I can create more sustainable side incomes in a way that prevents us, again, from having to be worried about having to leverage a single career for the purposes of gaining our income and livelihood and supporting our families, it's so dangerous. Think about just basic investment advice. Somebody would always tell you, diversify your investments. Obviously, there is a spectrum of how you want to diversify your investments with respect to your risk profile. So when you're younger, you're generally going to be more into stocks and more liquid, volatile securities. But later on in life, you're going to move to bonds. And for when you're even older, you're going to move to money market accounts because you want your money to be as stable as possible. But the fact that remains that when you are investing, you're not putting literally all of your eggs into one basket. But so many of us do that when it comes to our careers. It's insane. And I know that for sure, I was thinking that way for a while. And in full transparency, I was even getting annoyed with my wife because she had herself had a side hustle, and I asked her to move away from it. To be fair, that side hustle literally was asking exactly for her time, for her money. She actually had to spend her time to get money, and it was linear. She could not spend she could not spend her time and then have it compound. So that's sort of the corollary to this too. As you guys start to think about what it means to have more of a diversified income stream, you want to be working on things that at a certain point are not going to always require the same amount of effort for the same amount of income. At some point, your income stream should be exponential with respect to the amount of effort that you're putting in. So if you say you're making, I'm going to make up a number, you're making $100 an hour on your side hustle, the goal here is that the initial, slope is like $100 an hour, but later on as you put in work, it should start to go up a little bit more, or at the very least, that amount of work that you should do, if it doesn't go exponentially, the slope should go up more, because your future returns should at the very least be compounding against the work you've done earlier. And so when it comes to making a side income, like think carefully about how do I make this into a real business versus just like working again, expending your time to get money in a very linear fashion. That's effectively what our salaries are, right? They are literally a wage per hour. Even when you're paid yearly, that's a wage per year. That's still spending your time for money, right? And so in this regard, when you are starting to build up a side income, and this is what I'm doing, I'm trying to do with YouTube, I'm trying to do this now, building out some side businesses based on the 25 years of experience I've had building out software applications for some of the largest companies in the world. And so I would say well, number one, if you're interested, please hit me up. Make it put a comment in the links. But also, I want to build a business that, given my skill set, I've had this power for the longest time to leverage myself to building the type of life and building the type of income stream that would allow me to spend more time with my family. What really kills me about this is that I have been in this place where I've been so focused on finding a job, and I think I could have gone the side hustle route, but I'm in a situation where I have to raise two youngish kids, and having a side hustle having to work on a side hustle as sort of like the main line of income is not the right strategy. At least for me right now, the right strategy is to actually have a job, but then work actively to get that side income working as I have a real job. Again, that's practicality. You don't have to do it that way, but for me, that's how I'm doing it. But then the goal here is not to be so dependent on my main job, or rather the yearly wage type job, so that if that ever does go away again, I can sit back and be more relaxed and go, okay, that didn't work. And then maybe I'll have some other options. Maybe then I end up growing the side business to a real business, or I use that as leverage and go, okay, maybe while this thing that I built on the side generates money, I can go look for another job at my leisure. And the fact that you're building your own business, I've already learned just from the few things that I've built on the side and I'm trying to sell to people, there's so much value in learning how to build something from 0 to 1, sell it to somebody else, and then be able to try to make that a repeated thing. That sort of 0 to 1 is exactly what so many people are looking for in terms of experience. They want you to be able to take some, what's the word? Not ambient. Gosh. Ambiguous problem that they have, that they're trying to solve, and they need people like yourself who will look at this idea and then be able to build it from scratch because you've been able to implement it step by step because you've actually done the work of learning how to build something from literally nothing and to incrementally get your business or get a solution in place. That is really what most of work is, frankly. Being able to take something or take an idea or take a workflow and improve it or do something new with it. This is the essence of business, right? So for so many of you, like me, and I'm doing this to kind of preach to myself too and kind of get myself amped up a bit. As I've been going through this job search, I am not okay anymore with just letting somebody dictate how I use my time linearly to get work and to get income. Because if that goes away, my dependence on those things literally controls my life. And for so many of us, that's what we fear so much in this economy. I mean, not to get again into politics, but I think it's absolutely required to contextualize this. As Americans, we are, and I feel so bad for so many of our young folks who are struggling to find work, because the issue there is that, number one, healthcare is at an all-time high in terms of cost. Healthcare insurance in this country is an absolute sham and Ponzi scheme for healthcare companies, and it's one of the reasons why, to a certain degree, I will most likely never ever do it, because healthcare insurance companies are designed to be a middleman that sucks the life out of people purely by ensuring that their claims, especially claims for dangerous, life-threatening illnesses, are not paid for. So healthcare insurance is awful in this country. The overall economic state of this country sucks. We're in a situation where you have the Trumps of the world, like, literally effing around with oil prices because they just cannot, like, be okay with other countries having some control over the oil and gas industries, to the degree that they're going to just bomb other countries indiscriminately. Like, we have literally, but Trump is a vestige of a larger neoliberal economic like atmosphere in this country that has massively screwed up the working class and even middle class. I'm not sure there's really a middle class. And I say this as somebody who I think is firmly in the upper echelons of the middle class, if not lower upper middle class at this or if not upper middle class at this point. I am so fortunate that we have two really good incomes at this point to be able to say, like, we will be okay. To be fair, my wife and I have saved a bunch too, but the fact that we have dual income job security, we live in a great neighborhood, we don't have a lot of debt, we very actively were trying hard to not. We drove like old cars for such a long time. Like the best car I have right now is about to get paid off in about 8 months. Because we were just so desperate in need of a car, we financed a new car. But that was the first car we had bought in literally 15 years or something like that. And so we worked hard to pay down our debt. But I watch the news. I know what other people are struggling with. I see the overall economic situation in this country. It's the reason why Trump got voted for in the first place, because they thought he could do something about it. I think those people were wrong, but that's besides the point. It shows that we have a country right now that effectively is making it so hard for people to earn just a good daily wage. Like before, like you could have one income, and I'm not for traditional marriage in and of itself, in the sense of like man works and woman stays at home and takes care of the kids. But the fact that that was possible was because the man could go out and just work one job and then be able to provide for his whole family and own a house. People can't own houses anymore. It's nuts, dude. So with that economic context in play, and then the fact that it's just so hard to get the type of job that will just keep it sustainable, where people have to rent, and not just rent. I'm not against rent, but rent in this country, as the guy said, is just too damn high. And because of that, it's just super challenging to have the kind of environment where people feel like they can thrive simply by working 40, maybe 45, 50 hours a week. And then they also wonder why it's so hard to have a family. How can you support a family if you don't have like some sort of marginal income that you can save for a house and for kids? Have you seen what it's going to be like for our kids to go to college? Like even our community schools, people are going into debt. Imagine somebody who goes to college for some sort of humanities degree. Again, I'm somebody who went to seminary. I'm somebody who has been to who has a master's in politics as well. I would not advise people to get those degrees anymore. I mean, before it was sort of seen as semi-untenable, and I don't play the Asian tiger dad or tiger mom in that regard. I've always hated that paradigm. I think the humanities are super important. But dude, from an economic perspective, like it's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Like how can you think about having like a family where you're going to have to pay for other human beings to live and thrive? You're going to have to pay for their food. You're going to have to pay for, to some degree, their schooling. Yes, there's public schooling, but again, the public schooling in this country is shit, if we're just brutally honest, except if you live in some of the richest areas of the country. And even then, I would say it's not that good. My kids, to some degree, are still getting supplemental education in other places because it doesn't match some of the best education elsewhere in the world, particularly some of the places where they actually value the teaching profession and education and educational institutions, at least pre-college, right? And the reason why our colleges cost so much is because, yeah, of course, you're gonna have the most like elite education in the world, but you're paying those people a boatload of money. So you have to have kids who go to these schools. They can't really study what they want, particularly in the humanities, because it just economically is not worth it. To be fair, some of this information now is very accessible on the internet, but to the degree that people actually want to dive deep and like make that their life's passion, and for us to have the artists and the humanitarians of our world to write prose and poetry and to really create art that makes life actually worth living and not just be in this sort of economic sort of machine that literally extracts value from you. Why would anybody in their right mind want to start a family when you don't have the marginal income to do that, when the economic systems of power literally constrain people from doing that? I had to go into that side thing. It's just a fact. So the whole spiel for that was like having something on the type of income where you are literally not handcuffed to folks who frankly don't care about you. I mean, one thing I've learned from this job search over the past like 3-4 months is that ultimately companies only care if they can leverage you to build out their stuff. Otherwise, you are literally just another human resource. You are just think like the Matrix. They say, okay, you're allowed to plug into our company. So why allow a company or the corporate world to own you in this regard? Sorry, that's my AirPod thing chirping. I don't know why it does that. But that's why I'm doing this YouTube video. At some point, I hope one day this thing will start making money and I'll get monetized. But it's also my goal of saying I do not want to be tied down to an economic system, especially corporate America, global corporate institutions that effectively, really, at the end of the day, they don't care about you and me. So screw them. Let's break out and pave our own path in a way that will make life more sustainable for the rest of us and our families. Yeah, if you like this video, I just felt I had to make it. It's been too long. I know that a lot of the folks, there's like 7 subscribers right now, but I wanted you guys to see this and understand this so that, let's be in a place where we enable ourselves, we leverage ourselves, and start to free ourselves from the nonsense of how this world is kind of chaining us to their way of doing things. Let's strike out on our own. Let's do it. Again, if you liked the video, please subscribe. Give me a hey. Let's talk about it. Particularly if you've been struggling through this market. I've felt it for the past 4 months. And frankly, I've known people who struggled for more. And I want folks to know that I'm here for you. Talk to me. Let me be your therapist. I'm okay with that. Because frankly, this whole thing has been so traumatizing and so mentally unstabling. If I can help anybody out there, I want to. Again, my name's Alan. Love you guys. This is year 47. And remember, change is possible. I've been doing stuff in nutrition, but let's talk about everything. Cheers.